information network. It helps to be connected, and nobody knows more of the bookies in Las Vegas than Brent Musburger. It's My Guys in the Desert with the legend of the guys behind the counter, broadcasting only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network at vsin.com and SiriusXM Channel 204. Live from the VSIN studios, it's the one and only Brent Musburger.
Oh, yes, indeed, and a tip of the cap to the Boston Red Sox. Yes, I went down on the Los Angeles Dodgers, but I lost to the best team in baseball. There's no question about that. Josh Towers is with us, Vinny Magliulo, Ron Flatter. I've got a question for him. Josh, I think you absolutely agree, and probably the second best team to Houston.
Oh, yeah, Houston's. I thought Houston was overall the best team, but Boston obviously proved their worth. I mean, they backed up the regular season with an impressive postseason.
Yeah, exactly. And, Vinny, how did the overall, can you tell yet in the state of Nevada, there's a tendency to be lean toward the California teams because of the proximity here.
Right.
But the Red Sox being such a public team, did it get good two-way balance out?
You know what? Not balanced, Brent, but good two-way action. We actually needed the Red Sox in the games. I mean, it was very heavily skewed to the Dodgers in games 3, 4, especially in games 3 and 4. But overall the handle was good. I mean, certainly you wish that it was going on for 6 or 7, but we talked about it that the Dodgers-Yankees was the biggest draw maybe, but the Red Sox are right there. They've been a public team, and let's remember this is their 4th title since 2014.
Right.
So they're as public a team as we've got in baseball now.
Yeah. Okay, Ron. A couple of things you just mentioned: the National Hockey League and MGM making that deal. That really elevates Gary Bettman in my eyes. He didn't go for any of these integrity fees. No, nothing bogus about him. Let's just cut a deal with a major casino operator, get some revenue, and let's go on about our business and let the public do what the public likes to do.
True, but let's not forget, they will pass along the, whatever the opposite of savings will be on. So how much will that be in the VIG remains to be seen. Here's the one thing I find even more interesting, though. Let's take it a step further, because they're going to go a step further than the NBA. The New Jersey Devils are working to put kiosks into the Prudential Center, not to place bets, but to allow you to get the app on your phone to then place bets officially through whatever channels that are available there. And so the fact that they're being allowed to do that takes this even a step further. The NBA's stopping a step short of that for now. It's almost like the NHL is like, okay, going check, dare you to checkmate.
Yeah, in talking to gambling sources, and Vinny can echo this for me, the app is the future. That's how your wagering is going to be done.
The app is the mainstay now.
Absolutely.
Everybody has, and not only one app, there are multiple apps by multiple providers, and folks are utilizing them and shopping with them. And until wagering is available on your home TV, then that's going to be the predominant way to wager.
Josh, you like the apps.
Yeah, like I said in the past, man, the app's a great thing. It saves having to get in the car. It saves, we talked about the lines and how crazy they get out here. But you got to be very disciplined. That's just the reality. I love the options that it gives us as well, but you got to be disciplined because if you're trying to get off your bets or you get a little bit upset, you start chasing, next thing you know, it's bad.
Yeah, I chased a zero at the West.
Yes,
sir. Full disclosure about that. Now, Vladimir, the other thing, this is one of the biggest weeks of the year in horse racing, okay? The Breeders' Cup comes back, and it's in the legendary Churchill Downs. You're going to be on the scene. You had a little bit of an update about the Classic.
Yeah. Accelerate has been and will be the favorite ever since we started to get the defections, Justify out, Good Magic out. Accelerate's had a very good year on his own merit, 4 Grade 1 wins, and he's the 5-2 favorite, but he drew the 14 hole in a 14-horse field. Now, the good news is a long way, about 500 yards to that first turn. It's the Kentucky Derby course, but he's going to have his hands full or his feet full.
Didn't you tell me that the favorite drew the 14 in the distaff?
Drew the 14 in the distaff as well. Monomoy Girl drew wide there. And
both of them
drew wide. So those two feature races. Yeah, I mean, You're going to have a lot to deal with the top boys and the top girls races at the Breeders' Cup.
Start paying attention to races this week leading up to, right? I mean, obviously different classes and all, but any track bias, anything that could give you some added intel, that'll help.
When does Churchill Downs run this
week?
So they're off today, tomorrow, but Wednesday, Thursday, of course, Breeders' Cup, second half of the card on Friday, and then all day Saturday.
Here's the big curveball, though. It's supposed to rain all day Thursday. They're supposed to dodge the bullet Friday and Saturday. We know from the Kentucky Derby that if your name is not son of Bob Baffert, young Bodie, who was the only guy who got the forecast right at the Derby, they're usually wrong. So be very, very careful.
Sure.
But the weather is going to be a factor, especially since we're getting into fall.
Is that promotion still on? Brent 200, get you 200 if you bet 200.
With Express Bet, yeah, you get Express Bet. You put in 200 to open your account, put in the Brent 200 code, and voila, your 200 will be matched with another free $200 to bet. Perfect time to do this.
And all of the Breeders' Cup races will be up there, right?
Oh, yeah.
Be able to bet
and so will the build-up races that we're talking about Wednesday, Thursday. They're also racing the day after. Got plenty of opportunities.
Typically, Churchill Downs does not race the day after the Derby, as we know, right?
Correct.
But now this year. So you've got races on Friday's card in addition to the Breeders' Cup, Brent, in addition to the Breeders' Cup races on Saturday, and then, of course, all day Sunday.
This is just another one of those great weeks in sports. Let's look at tonight, Vinny. Let's keep everybody up to date here. The Patriots have been a huge favorite, opened as a big favorite, and I'm assuming that the money is coming in on Mr. Brady and Mr. Belichick.
All Patriots right now sitting as 14-point favorites, Brent. It's been sitting at 14 for the majority all day yesterday and today. This is a game, no question. Books are going to need the Bills, and we're going to need the under. It's everything riding from the weekend. You know, it all got jump-started with the Texans on Thursday. We talked about it. Big games yesterday were the Packers, where the public and some pros, a lot of pros were on the Packers. They covered, and, of course, every teaser was with them and the Rams. Then last night, the Saints got as high as 3.
Oof. Wow, yeah. It started good too, but I listen, Kirk Cousins, I'm telling you guys, man, he's not what everybody thinks he is. He seems to have trouble in big games like this, and last night to me was a big game, and you can see where he kind of takes a step back in these situations. At some point, he's going to have to take a step forward in his career. It's not the talent level of the arm. But tonight's game, 2 running backs on the roster, James White and Kenyon Barber. They're going to give some guys a rest. So not that they're taking the Bills light, but this is a game where we've seen it before. You kind of rest some guys. And Ronnie, I think to your point with Josh Gordon, it sounded like a couple incidents, but it sounded like he might have missed the bus to head to Buffalo, which never sits well with us.
Whatever the case might have been, and of course because of his past, they're going to there's no tolerance.
And listen, I don't want to start any gossip, but anybody who's ever been around anybody troubled by drugs, being late to things is that's a warning light. And I again, I don't want to go there because hopefully it's going to be okay. It was just one of those things, but that is something you keep an eye on when you're dealing with any addiction.
Oh yeah. Tardiness is the one thing in pro sports that doesn't go well.
Absolutely.
As John Madden's only rule, don't be late, right?
Yeah, that's it. It sounds like Brady's kind of taking Josh under his wing a little bit and kind of helping him out. And a positive role model, obviously, and definitely a guy who attention to detail, late, focused. So, he's got guys in his corner. So hopefully, and listen, if there is problems like that, which we've known, documented, it takes time. It's not an overnight thing for him.
Absolutely. And I do want to go back, Josh, just for a moment on Cousins, because I really felt that the biggest mistake in the game was not his. I really thought that Thielen dropping that ball was. Now I'm not. Now the other side of this is, Vinny, do you have the odds on conference championships and Super Bowl handy? Do you have those someplace? Because, and the reason why I'm asking, I have to tell you, there might be some value on the New Orleans Saints right now. If you take a look at the NFC, the money is coming in on the Los Angeles Rams, and understandably so. Philadelphia Eagles, the defenders, they've faded a little bit, and they've been kind of inconsistent, although they won a nice game over in London over the weekend. The Packers seem to have taken a little bit of a step back, and this was a big-time win for the New Orleans Saints to go in there.
Well, we did adjust them in advance of last night, Brent. They were 6-1, and now so you figured they're about 5 and about 2.5, depending on where you shop. So did some anticipation with them because they're playing well. I mean, listen, let's face it. They lost their first game, right? And they've reeled off, all these here. So
they ran into Fitzmagic.
And they almost lost to the Browns.
And I ran into Fitzmagic trying to cover 4.5. Couldn't they have just let Jameis Winston finish the game up before they? But one more note here about Tom Brady from ESPN. Tom Brady is 28-3 versus the Bills. That's the most wins by any starting quarterback versus any one team in the Super Bowl era. During the time, and this is what I get a kick out of. The Bills started 11 different quarterbacks in those 31 games started by Mr. Brady. Think about that tonight, huh? Unbelievable.
And they've had a couple owners, too. One quick note on the Josh Gordon. He's supposed to be in around the second quarter to be back on the field, according to Ian Rappaport at NFL Network.
Okay, that's a good indication.
Two other notes, by the way. Weather-wise, it's been raining today in Buffalo, supposed to stop well ahead of game time. Temperature in the 40s, low 40s. Wind blowing from left to right, from the left end zone to the right end zone as you'll be watching the game. 14 miles per hour. Will die down some as the game wears on. And I might also note, I found watching the odds today across town, Vinny, number flashed to 13.5 at a few books. Westgate, Caesars, CG. The moment they drop it there, it would get pounded, and back it went to 14.
Well, pros will be taking 14. I mean, that's you got 2 touchdowns here. Patriots, most pro teams don't look ahead, particularly the Patriots. But just a note, they do have the Green Bay Packers next Sunday night at home.
Another big game.
Yep.
So we'll take a break and come back. Jimmy Vaccaro's going to check in. We'll see if there's brisk wagering on Mr. Brady or people falling in love with the dog. VSiN.com, Sirius XM 204.
It's My Guys in the Desert with Brent Musburger, only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Keep up to date with everything in the world of sports gaming by going online at VSiN.com.
If you didn't catch VSiN last week, here's some of what you missed.
This is from Playboy. I think they're both. Playboy is when Tyson got knocked out by James Buster Douglas. So Playboy
Buster
got a hold
Douglas,
of
yeah.
Last year, and they had this wonderful picture of Douglas standing over top of Tyson. So they called me up. They did a story around it, and this is one of the things that I will always keep. Now, I also want to make it clear that Playgirl contacted me to be in their next centerfold issue. Also,
is that the basketball picture?
It was a yin and a yang. Yeah, that was it.
You certainly are going to settle for just the first-round pick for Derek Carr. I'm thinking that if someone offers them a first and a fourth, the conditional fourth, which could elevate based on certain conditions, kind of like the Sam Bradford trade, maybe they have to seriously consider that. Don't forget, 2016, Derek Carr, third in the MVP voting. People were making these Aaron Rodgers comparisons, which don't seem to have any validity for the way he's played ever since then. But quarterbacks are hard to find, and teams overvalue them in the draft and usually overvalue them in trade packages.
I'm here. I like to inform the public on different things, and I think VSiN is the platform. Even when I'm not here, like I always say, where else are you going to get information like this?
That's right.
I mean, that's the number one question asked to me. Hey, Crack, can you help me out? Hey, Crack, can you help me? What do you think I should do going forward? Everyone wants to be a professional. It's unbelievable how many people say, man, I want to start doing this full time. You know what I always say to them? I wouldn't recommend it for my enemies. I mean, it's such...
You got to be built a certain way.
It's that tough. But take the first step and have VSiN. Here we are.
So let's go with the fact that the interior defense isn't that great for the Houston Rockets. Carmelo Anthony's going to actually get a lot of flack, and he's minus 15 through his 3 games. They've been atrocious in terms of defense.
That's an alarming number.
Yes, it is.
Is that worse than the league by a wide margin?
Yeah, they're dead last in the league in terms of points allowed in the paint per game. So that's going to be a big reason why, and that's why they're not as good defensively. So you look at no Chris Paul, really bad defensively. I feel like the Utah Jazz are really just a good Donovan Mitchell game away from turning things around. Mm-hmm. So as part of the hashtag NBA Pick 'em All Challenge, I used the Utah Jazz, catching 2.5 points.
Now back to Sin City and My Guys in the Desert with the legend Brent Musburger, live on the Vegas Stats and Information Network, SiriusXM Channel 204, and vsin.com.
I guess I have only one thought about the Cleveland Browns dismissing Hugh Jackson today in the middle of a season. What took you so long? Josh and Vinny and I, we welcome in Jimmy Vaccaro. Jimmy, Monday night, is the business brisk, or did you take all the gamblers' money over the weekend, lad?
Well, you just jab. I'm 73 years old, trying to keep my job.
Took some of mine.
How was that massage today?
Pretty good. Not bad. Well, it was a hectic weekend. Let me start. Saturday, we were Ernie Shavers delivering the knockout punch. I mean, we did good. But you call it fair and square. Sunday. Now, only you, maybe Vincenzo, remember Johnny Duplessis.
Yes.
He was a boxer. Pretty good boxer.
Huh? They rope-a-doped us on Sunday.
Here's what happened Sunday. Now, Saturday, we were Ernie Shavers.
Uh-huh.
You know, we knocked everybody out.
Right, but that's...
Sunday, Johnny Duplessis. This is Mirage, 1991. He's fighting Julio Cesar Chavez.
Yeah, in a workout.
He hit Johnny Duplessis with a left right under the rib, like right over here on the rib cage. Duplessis just started to fall down. He fell out of the ring. That's what we were yesterday here. Yeah. We fell out of the ring.
Out of the ring.
Sunday.
Out of the ring.
So Saturday was good. Sunday was bad. Naturally, tonight you have to win against the favorite because everything just live going to the favorite. So we'll lose between $100,000 and $200,000 if the Patriots cover. And you're just nodding your head. Not bad. Not bad. Not bad.
No, listen, you took my teaser money on Saturday. I didn't even get to the first furlong. Kansas State getting 31 on the teaser. I needed 7 more against Oklahoma. That wasn't enough. I needed 38. Oh, what a bloodbath! And what makes it even worse, because I love to play the 5-timer, get the 5-1 with Mr. Vaccaro over here, but I won every other game.
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah. I'm coming back, though.
I know.
He's reloading. He's reloading, Jimmy.
But what a weekend, my friend.
Yeah,
it was
incredible. It was a great weekend, wasn't it, Jimmy?
Busy. We keep talking about it. Now, the handle keeps going up. But like I said, win, lose, or draw. There was plenty of money to be left over. We had 3 signings, which means obviously when you hit like a 300-to-1 shot, you got to sign for the payout, whatever. And I think we had a $200 bet to pay like $19,000. I know that we had a couple paid well into, 15 to 25,000. The 19,000, when the kid was there, he was like Michael Jackson dancing across the moonwalk, back and forth. Gabby's so happy.
Jimmy, tell Brent about the cards too, about the parlay cards this week.
Oh, the parlay cards. We got carried away on that. How about you talking for a bad beat? Now this is one obviously. If you had this guy's side, you'd be $60,000. Right. 10-teamer for 100.
10
right?
Team. Okay.
He had everything in 49ers.
49ers.
They were winning 15-3 against a team that couldn't get 2 yards.
They can't score
in the fourth quarter.
That was the win?
That was the one for us that he lost his parlay on. He needed.
And then how that game ended to boot. I mean, it's salt in the wounds to this guy.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. That'll make you retire, well, at least temporarily, from wagering.
Oh, mercy. Now, the other one that I read about when I came back to town, what did the Rams close at here against the Packers?
7.5. 7.
So when Gurley does the smart thing,
yes,
that costs the favorite bettors, correct?
That's correct.
Yep.
But that's exactly what you should do in that situation.
Well, he was the very cerebral Gurley.
Yeah, there's a lot of running backs who aren't that smart.
I got to tell you. So what that did, Brent, was let's remember this, because that game opened 9.
Yes, it was high.
And there were 9.5s out there. So sharp money took the Packers. Again, who gets Aaron Rodgers with 9.5 points? Never happened.
Right.
So lots of sharp money and the public on the Packers. Oh, and by the way, teasers to both sides.
Yeah. And, a couple of things. Any kickoff in the end zone, here, if any NFL return men are listening, and there's probably a few, take a knee. Okay? Yep. Put the ball on the 25-yard line. First of all, you're giving Aaron Rodgers a chance. I couldn't believe, forget the fumble for just a second, I couldn't believe Ty Montgomery came out. I mean, You do not want that clock moving coming out. Get that knee and give Aaron Rodgers as much time as you possibly can. The odds against you returning a kickoff 101 yards for a touchdown are astronomical against Aaron Rodgers coming back down 75 yards, okay, to win the game. And look at all they had to do was get a field goal to win it, okay? Now think about this. I mean, this is an inexcusable mistake by a veteran.
This wasn't a mistake. They told him specifically to take a knee, to not run it out. They told him this, and everybody on the sidelines was yelling, "What are you doing?" In other words, saying take a knee. He was mad because of the fumble before, and like they were upset on the sidelines, and so he was specifically told by the coaches, take the knee. He ran out on his own.
Don't run it out.
Out of spite because he was mad, and then on top of everything, this guy fumbles. And exactly, it's the most common sense thing.
Coach.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering, and how this week's going to.
He's gone.
Yeah.
Today should have been gone.
Oh, yeah. I mean, because wins are so hard to come by and so valuable in the NFL.
You know, we keep talking about it, but whether it's a player, coach, or whomever, a general manager, they make these decisions which you can't believe. Now, yes, first kickoff of the game, first kickoff of the second half, all right, you run, big deal.
Yeah.
You can't run it out there.
No, you can't because Aaron Rodgers, he's lethal in this, and all he needs is a field goal.
Jim, here it was right here. They took him out the previous drive for a play. He slammed his helmet down and threw a fit, one player said. Then before the kickoff, they told him to take a knee, and he ran it out anyways. You know what that was. That was him saying, I'm going to do what I'm going to do for me. It's an effing joke. And then Aaron Rodgers was hot. He had a right to be, he yelled, take an effing knee. They told him.
Josh, who was the linebacker, I believe, who hit and knocked the ball loose? Does it say in the story?
No, I saw the video. I don't remember
I couldn't
the name.
tell the number, so got in hard. You know, about that time, Jimmy, the Raiders played decently on offense, but they're awful on defense. I mean, they can't stop anybody. And then, you know, I'll tell you the most overlooked thing. And I probably should have paid attention to this more in college. Maybe it's not as important. The punting is so much more important in the NFL.
Yeah.
You have got to flip the field.
Yes. Those guys are good at that, too. Ramick, Wilson.
Wilson?
Yeah.
Okay, Wilson jarred that ball. It was a great tackle. Jarred the ball loose because I was thinking Doug Martin, who had played decently for the Raiders, is filling in for Marshawn Lynch as the starter.
I believe he recovered it as well.
Fumbled. Wilson,
I think
also,
he recovered it as well, yeah.
It's a great play by the Rams.
2 minutes. 2 minutes on the 25-yard line, Aaron Rodgers.
They just don't get it. There's only 16 games, so these games are so crucial.
Every game is huge.
Absolutely, Jimmy.
And they're right in the wild. They're not only a wild card, but they're in the thick of the division.
And their schedule right now is tough.
Well,
I mean, it gets even tougher.
They were on the West Coast yesterday against the Rams in Los Angeles, and that Sunday night they've got to go to Foxborough.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Think about that, back to back. Oof.
Stealing one at the Rams is a big deal, man.
Huge. Their defense played good.
They led for almost the entire game.
But
right?
they led for a significant portion of that game, right? Yeah.
I can only imagine the crowd here and around Vegas in the casinos. It must have been exciting with that game on.
Jimmy, describe Gurley when he's breaking into the end zone and then he stops and cuts.
Well, you could almost see it coming because he was dancing right about the 10-yard line. He knew he had the first down, and he was like dancing around a little bit, and then he went down. I said, "Oh, millions and millions of dollars all over the world switched hands."
Well, if fantasy football wise too, and he said, "I don't care about fantasy football. I care about us getting the win."
Right.
By the way, I'm glad you brought that up, Josh. If we could, Brent, just to touch on that because he made that comment. He was specifically asked about that too. It wasn't like there's some kind of scandal or he was talking about look, the guy got asked a question. By the way, there's gambling, okay? And so and let's remember this. Fantasy football, fantasy sports, that's gambling.
Yes.
So, period. All right, just had to get that out.
But he just went straight to the fantasy part of it too.
Yeah.
He doesn't even register the other stuff.
I hate to bring up a sore subject here, but one of our bigger losses was I think they're in Oakland. They're coming here or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That game went from 1.5 to 3.5.
Man.
The Colts.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
Yep.
And for a time, it looked like you might be in good shape, and then they get outscored 21 to zippity doodah in the fourth quarter, and the bad punt, giving them half a field, and then the fumble by the running back, and it's game, set, and match. I mean, it swings on those two things, and the Colts score.
Brent, how did Martin look? Is he going to
look decent. I have to tell you, he had some good runs. Looks like to me he got hit on the ball, hard by a defensive player. Obviously, you can't do that as a running back in the NFL. I get it, but I must tell you, he had a couple good runs. Brian Rogers was with us up in the booth. Didn't you think so yesterday? Didn't you think he was a pretty good-looking running back filling in for Lynch?
He looked like the muscle hamster of old, yeah. He looked like the Doug Martin we knew at Tampa Bay.
BR, what do you think? Because he was a stud back in the day. You think it was all the off-field problems, all the the distractions that caused him to not to be as good? Because, Martin was awesome. This kid was really, really good coming in. And we know the skill set's there, but I also know that he had a lot of
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I think given the opportunity to have most of the carries yesterday really helped him get in the groove, for sure.
Yeah, he's certainly not too old. They've been running backs. Well, how about Adrian Peterson and what he's suddenly doing for the Washington Redskins?
I'll tell you, though, when you train and you put yourself in as good a shape, when you take that as serious as he does, absolutely. Nobody wants him more than him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's playing for a bigger and better day, man. He's playing for the Hall of Fame and all kinds of stuff. I love him.
This is for Jimmy.
Did you see, Brent, did you see the conversation between him and Barkley after the game? They had the camera on him, they had the audio on him, and he was all high praises for Barkley, saying that I see a huge future. I love, respect everything you're doing. I'm paraphrasing a little bit. It was awesome. Awesome interview. Conversation they had.
That's terrific. Nice. So the baseball ratings with two marquee teams are off 10%, and the lowest since the Giants and the Royals back in 2014, and MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred says he's frustrated and bewildered. Okay. All right, Mr. Manfred. It's time to address the horrendous television situation regarding the Dodgers in Los Angeles, not to mention in Las Vegas. From my standpoint, you got buried by the NBA, okay? We all know football is king. We've got it over here in Nevada. But you guys have been arrogant about this situation. You haven't stepped in on it. You're losing the younger generation. The time of some of your games, you run them well past midnight in the East when you've got to be developing new fans. You're turning off bettors here in Las Vegas and throughout Nevada with this archaic television blackout. And I would say, Mr. Manfred, I'd go sit down with the commissioner of the National Hockey League, okay? Mm-hmm. This is the man. And even Mr. Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, both of them are light years ahead of you when it comes to let me just take the National Football League right now. Let's bring them in it. For most of the teams, not going to the Super Bowl, we can all sit down and make a list. It's a long list, okay? But when you've got betting interests with all these teams going forward, these are still very important games for people taking a position. I'll tell you, Manfred's got to wake up and smell the coffee. I know this comes right to your wheelhouse. Sure. Thinking about these committees.
Well, it's so you can just see in front of you, but they won't even listen or come or see what it's all about here. From here in every book in the state of Nevada, and now obviously all over the country, you can't move at 10 o'clock in the morning anymore in the sports book, no matter which one you're at. And you know what it is? It's what we call this recreational player. People who you haven't seen for years are starting to show up. Yes, we all know back, when the mustache guys would come, and that would be the only people in your book. Now that we're flooded with people, and it's a good flood. It's not crazy. They don't get out of line. They have some fun, and they love the excitement of the game. I don't know what they miss either, my friend. I just don't. But they will never speak to someone like me.
Oh, no.
Won't happen.
It's arrogance.
Yes.
That's simply.
They're hurting themselves. People love the social entertainment
I ran into Gary Bettman by accident on the night that the Golden Knights played their first regular season game. We ran into each other at an elevator, okay? And we had a brief conversation, and he expressed how delighted he was at the response of everybody in the city of Las Vegas. And he had come right into the middle. He knew that there was going to be gambling around his hockey games. He knew that people can walk over to the casinos. He didn't make a big thing out of it. He downplayed it, if you remember, okay? He wanted to see what was going on. But if you went in, you could dial up the app right here. Right. You could use any of the apps, South Point, Westgate, you could use them right there in the arena.
And what we try to tell them over and over again, which they did see for the first year, and I give them credit, not one negative thing was talked about the games here. Not one negative thing was talked about. Did you see what happened? I can't believe that they didn't call that penalty on that. It didn't happen one time.
Not one time.
The integrity was not compromised.
Nope.
No,
in
absolutely.
any way. Absolutely not.
I mean, some of those guys got the Vegas flu when they came into town. But
yeah, I'm going to tell you, a lot more than hockey players get it.
But the Vegas flu is simply your NBA team is on the road for 5 games in a row. They're
Right.
tired the last game.
Exactly. All right. Let's take a break. Thank you, my friend.
See you guys later.
Mr. Platter's got an update coming up. VSiN.com, Sirius.
It's My Guys in the Desert with Brent Musburger, only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Keep up to date with everything in the world of sports gaming by going online at VSiN.com.
You didn't catch VSiN last week. Here's some of what you missed.
Listen, I'm going to give you the lock of the year, and Brent, you might want to write this down. This is a compliment coming to your Roll Tide. Bet Alabama first half every week, and you'll make money. 8-0 first half versus the number. That's it. I'm done.
It's
By the way,
unbelievable.
It is.
You know, I got to tell you who started betting that early was Matt Humans.
They haven't played a team with a pulse.
this
Well,
is
but
the
they're the best team now.
Oh, there's no question.
Yeah.
But I heard a few people saying
from
ever.
the old-time guys like me, I shake my head, and they're running to the counter laying 27.5 in the first half like it's chocolate. It's just like I just shake my head, but you know what? After we pay them off, they're looking at me like, you donkey, you don't know what the hell you're doing either. And they're right.
A straight bet for $100,000, a 3-teamer for $180,000, and he lost a $20,000 4-teamer live to the Chargers. So we had 3 in going to that. So I guess he won $260 for the week.
So that's back-to-back weekends.
How would you like to make $260 in a 48-hour period bet? That would be nice.
Yeah, no kidding. I ran the numbers. The guy's up over $2 million in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, I give him credit because he has the onions to bet.
Guessing lines for Week 9 in the National Football League. Again, a tribute to the old Stardust Guessing Line show. Trying to isolate value. Not sure we found any yet.
Well, there's something to think about in each one of them, right? You can make a case to take or lay these games that you talked about already.
Nothing's
and that's the exercise, right? You know, you're making numbers as a season better.
Yep.
Comparing them to what's posted.
That's what we're doing
for your early consideration.
Many more games to go.
If you're going to make that pitch and change, knowing what's going to happen, you know, if you bring in Woody, he's obviously going to offset with the right. We know what's going to happen, so you knew the matchup that you were going to get. Were the numbers overwhelming enough to say I need this matchup? Because, you know, when you dig down, Baez, lefties hit 164 against him this season. He's dominant versus lefties, and he looked really good. My other thing is in that moment is if I do bring somebody else out of the bullpen right now, is he going to be as locked in as sharp as Baez is right now? That's my other thing. I understand what Devers has done. I remember the home run in Houston just like they do. I just felt like Baez was throwing that good to where I didn't need to make a move.
I'm Ron Flatter with your VSiN Action Update. With nearly 2/3 of the tickets being written on them, the Patriots remain 14-point favorites in less than 2 hours to win at Buffalo. New England wideout Josh Gordon will be watching the first quarter, though, from the sideline. NFL Network says he was late for something. With a dry night, the wind blowing from left to right up to 14 miles per hour and the temperature in the 40s, low 40s, I might add. The over-under is 44.5. The Browns did the inevitable today and fired coach Hugh Jackson and also offensive coordinator Todd Haley. Defensive coordinator Greg Williams becomes the interim coach. Cleveland is catching 8 points Sunday, hosting Kansas City. Tampa Bay says Ryan Fitzpatrick will replace Jameis Winston at quarterback next Sunday when the Bucs are 6.5-point underdogs visiting Carolina. Number 1 Alabama is a 14-point favorite next Saturday night visiting number 4 LSU, which has not been this big a home underdog in 21 years. By the way, those rankings are from the Associated Press and the coaches' polls. The first college football playoff committee rankings come out tomorrow. The NBA's last 2 unbeaten teams meet tonight in Milwaukee. Without Giannis Antetokounmpo and Kawhi Leonard, though, the 6-0 Bucks are 2-point home underdogs facing 6-0 Toronto. Also tonight, a pair of 4-1 teams meet when Denver hosts New Orleans. The Nuggets are laying 9.5. Just crowned World Series champions, the Red Sox are 6-1 to do it again next year. Co-favorites at the Westgate Superbook USA with Houston. The Dodgers and Yankees are 7-1. The Cubs and Indians 10-1. Just 2 games tonight in the NHL. Even though Austin Matthews is out a month with a bad shoulder, Toronto is a 45-cent home favorite against Calgary. Minnesota, 70 cents visiting Vancouver. Oh, the NHL announced a multi-year deal that makes MGM its official gambling partner. That means the league will get a piece of its action on hockey bets. It's similar to the deal that the NBA signed with MGM. Take advantage of VSiN's midseason special. You get total access to our live and archived video, plus point spread weekly and our special betting guides. Cost you only $99, and that takes you from now through the Super Bowl. Sign up at vsin.com/subscribe. More with Brent Musburger now, here on VSiN.
Now back to Sin City and My Guys in the Desert with the legend Brent Musburger, live on the Vegas Stats and Information Network, SiriusXM Channel 204, and vsin.com.
Well, Josh and Vinny, I was thinking when I was coming back from Oakland, if there's a part of the country that's going to be so excited coming up this weekend, it is down south. Now, Ron just talked about LSU being a huge underdog at home against number 1 Alabama. That game's in Baton Rouge, okay? And then the next afternoon, you can drive right down the freeway to the great city of New Orleans, and it's the Rams and the Saints late Sunday afternoon. You talk about 2 marquee games. So I said, we have got to check in again back down in Biloxi, Mississippi, where wagering on sports is now legal in that state. The Golden Nugget, we have spoken with Brad Bryant before, but Brad, what a weekend you are going to have in Biloxi with those 2 games, my friend. How are you, Brad?
I'm doing great. Thanks, guys, for having me on. And, as busy as we were this week, it's almost like we feel like it started this week. But we're coming up on a huge weekend. I'm excited. I love these weekends.
Now, is it 14 down there in Biloxi? Do you have a little bit different number at all from what we have here in Nevada, or has it been a consistent couple of touchdowns all over?
Yeah, it's actually consistent 14. We actually put the number up here at the Golden Nugget Biloxi last Monday, that with the money line, and that way our guests that were in town just for last week would be able to bet it. So we opened 14, and we're currently still at 14 on the game.
Smart move, Brad. That's a great move, given both sides were off. And this game here, I can only imagine what it's like there. We're going to book this game just like an NFL game, because the next day you've got a terrific matchup. Of course, the Rams and the Saints, what a lot of folks are calling a possible NFC conference playoff game.
Yeah, exactly. We currently are at 2 with the Saints.
Mm-hmm.
So open the game pick, already been bet up to 2. So 2 huge marquee games for us next week.
Hey, Brad, I'm just curious. Last night, the game in Minnesota moved quite a bit. Did you see the same thing?
We did. We actually had quite a bit Saints action last night. We actually had some rather large money line plays on the Saints last night. Got beat around a little bit this weekend, but, hey, that's part of the game, right?
Yep, that is.
People got to win, and I love to win. So we had a little rough weekend, but we've come back fighting this week.
And, Brad, I think you said the Saints are a 2-point favorite down in Biloxi, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And here, there's been a little bit more money bet on the Rams, Vinny. I think I saw that when you were speaking about that game.
Brent, this has gone back and forth here. So the game opened pick'em here at the South Point. Opened Saints 1. Now the Rams 1.5. So
here's the geographical difference that we've been waiting for. I was wondering if it would ever surface. I really thought it might with baseball, with the Dodgers and the Boston Red Sox, but we didn't see it much. But now we've got a difference. Rams are favored in Nevada, but down at the Golden Nugget in Biloxi, the Saints are. And it certainly makes sense, Vinny, given the geography of where these books are.
Well, not only that, Brent, but you're talking about the Rams, who have been such a public team, especially these last 2 years, and folks are in absolute love with their offense. So it speaks to exactly what you're saying. This is the largest example we've seen of it here, and it took until week 9 to see it.
Josh, can you imagine what it's going to be like down Louisiana way over the weekend? And those books like the Golden Nugget man, they could be betting with both hands this weekend.
Especially all the in-running. I mean, look at how great is this game, honestly. The Saints at Rams, both of them are playing well. Maybe Cooper cut back. I think that's vital for the Rams. Obviously, the Saints are – you see the combination of Ingram and Kamara. It's just different, so it's pretty exciting. And obviously, the Bama game. Brad, have you noticed anything like this in the past, or is this one of the biggest ones we've seen yet?
No, this is probably the biggest that we've seen so far. There hasn't been anything that stood out prior to this. But, I expect, even though we're down in Saints country, I still think that'll come back toward pick as we get closer to game time.
Great two-way game.
And, Brad, if you're driving from Birmingham, let me remember. I did so many games down there. Love the action. You can stop off at the Golden Nugget, right, and then just go on into Baton Rouge, and you can watch your Tide, or you can drive from the great town of Baton Rouge on up to Biloxi and make yourself a bet, and then turn around. There's going to be a lot of those folks backing those two teams coming to visit you before the kickoff, my friend.
There is no doubt, and there'll be a lot of people here that can't make it to the game, and they'll just stay here with us and watch it in our sports book, and they'll be as rowdy as they are at the game, trust me.
I can only imagine. Now, give me an idea at the Golden Nugget on the SEC wagering on a Saturday versus the NFL wagering at the casino.
It's beginning to. Last time I was on, we were probably 2-1 on college handle being more than NFL, which was astounding to me. That gap has closed just a little bit, but it's still predominantly the college wagering on Saturday is popular down here. So I've never been in a situation. It's usually reversed, but people love the college football down here for sure.
Brad, obviously the Saints, probably the number one team down there. Who else is a big draw down there? I mean, obviously in Las Vegas, the Southern Cal teams and the public teams. Do you see the same thing? And you know who the public teams are over the years, the Patriots and the Packers, for instance. But who else besides the Saints draws the betting action where you can anticipate it being extra heavy?
You know what's so funny is that, also, you take the Saints out of the equation, Vinny, and it's pretty much just like when I was in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same teams. When the Patriots and those teams win and they cover,
right.
You know what kind of day it's going to be. And that's the same here. The only difference is, like I said, the Saints. You take them out of the equation and everything is just like Vegas.
Brad, I'm in looking at this game, and I know Brent, and I learned this from Brent. It's quite a bit different, a day game in Baton Rouge and a night game. I think there's a bigger advantage to LSU at night. In fact, I would give them as much as a 1.5. Would you agree with that? And what are some of the other events that are taking place in Biloxi to coincide with this great weekend? You've got this doubleheader for the LSU game and the Saints game.
I'm with you, Vinny. It's a night game. My number was a little bit, in my opinion, I thought it was closer to 17. Mm-hmm. But I could see it being a 1.5, 2 points less just because it is a night game. Trust me, there won't be much going on anywhere on starting Friday. There'll be a lot of traffic headed to Baton Rouge. They'll start their tailgating. They'll start their way to the casino. But it'll be tailgating here just like at the game. It's really, for people that have never experienced tailgating in the South, and especially like LSU, it's really something to experience and be involved with.
Yes, and up the road at Ole Miss, it's an art form. You go to the Grove, my friend, and what an experience that is, Brad, as you well know. Now, switching the subject, because the New Orleans Pelicans look like they're going to have a pretty good season, and Anthony Davis is such a good player. Have the folks down there wagered on the NBA, or will it be later, do you think, when the playoffs? What are you experiencing there at the Golden Nugget with that, Brad?
I will tell you this. This is probably the first place I've ever been that NBA has kicked off with the public as quick as it has. I really didn't know what would happen when the NBA started, but pretty much from this first day, we have seen a tremendous increase in our business. Usually takes a little time with football and then, baseball playoffs going on. As I said the last time, baseball wasn't as popular during the playoffs as I'm used to, but NBA, it started right from the start, and we have people, when I came down here to give you guys a call, I mean, we probably had 20, 25 people in line betting their games for tonight, and it wasn't just the Monday Night Football game. It was the NBA as well.
Brad, do they enjoy the have you seen a good response to future wagering as well? I know the games themselves.
No, Vinny, I haven't. But I will tell you what has been popular and continues to grow to the point of I'm looking for a way to add additional staff is the in-game wagering.
There you go.
The in-game wagering is tremendous. I think I mentioned last time we have 8 kiosks on the casino floor. We actually have 2 more that are going to go on the floor this week. So we'll have a total of 10 kiosks on the floor for this weekend. But in-game wagering has just tremendously taken off.
Outstanding.
And there at the Golden Nugget, those kiosks, you can actually make wagers on them. Like, for example, when I was just over in Europe. Is that right? Is that right, Brad?
That is correct. So they actually take money. You can put money in them. You can get a voucher out. The only thing you can't do is get money back out of it. You have to get a voucher. You have to bring it to the counter to cash. The good thing about the kiosk is everything we have to offer is on those kiosks. So if instead of coming to the counter and let's say you want to find a soccer game or a Japanese baseball game, you can go to the kiosk and you can search it out and you can bet it right there at the kiosk.
So it's interesting because that's what they do in Europe with the NFL. I had to go to the kiosk.
Okay, so bill acceptor as well, too, right?
Absolutely.
For
You put the pounds in and over there, and here it's dollars down in Biloxi. Yeah. I just noticed that the Denver Nuggets had been bet up here, Brad, in this game. They host New Orleans tonight. It's a 6 o'clock Pacific time, and at 8 o'clock.
Yeah,
it's a mountain time zone when they're up in Denver. Has there been some money on the Pelicans down there, Brad, for tonight's game?
A little bit, but we're currently at 9 on the game. Denver 9, total of 229.5.
Right, Brent, the reason for that, I think Anthony Davis has got an elbow injury. I think
is that
he's
right?
Out. I believe he's out.
That's a big.
Yeah, so that's the reason for the move.
I was
on
curious
the
about
Nuggets.
that.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. A 2.5 point move, depending on where you are, to the Nuggets because of Anthony Davis.
Yeah, Brad, we really appreciate this, and I'll tell you what. Let's check back in with you next week. I would love to get stories about how this weekend is going to go. I can only imagine what the book is going to be like and the lead up to it on Thursday and Friday. So if you don't mind, we're going to check in with you next Monday, my friend.
Hey, not a problem. I'll do it anytime. Thanks again for having me.
All right, Brad Bryant, the Superbook manager of the Golden Nugget in Biloxi, Mississippi. Back live, vsin.com, Sirius XM 204.
It's My Guys in the Desert with Brent Musburger, only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Keep up to date with everything in the world of sports gaming by going online at vsin.com.
If you didn't catch VSiN last week, here's some of what you missed.
This is from Playboy. I think they're both. Playboy is when Tyson got knocked out by James Buster Douglas. So Playboy
Buster
got a hold
Douglas,
of
yeah.
Last year, and they had this wonderful picture of Douglas standing over top of Tyson. So they called me up. They did a story around it, and this is one of the things that I will always keep. Now, I also want to make it clear that Playgirl contacted me to be in their next centerfold issue. Also,
is that the basketball picture?
It was a yin and a yang. Yeah, that was it.
You certainly are going to settle for just the first-round pick for Derek Carr. I'm thinking that if someone offers them a first and a fourth, the conditional fourth, which could elevate based on certain conditions, kind of like the Sam Bradford trade, maybe they have to seriously consider that. Don't forget, 2016, Derek Carr, third in the MVP voting. People were making these Aaron Rodgers comparisons, which don't seem to have any validity for the way he's played ever since then. But quarterbacks are hard to find, and teams overvalue them in the draft and usually overvalue them in trade packages.
I'm here. I like to inform the public on different things, and I think VSiN is the platform. Even when I'm not here, like I always say, where else are you going to get information like this?
That's right.
I mean, that's the number one question asked to me. Hey, Crack, can you help me out? Hey, Crack, can you help me? What do you think I should do going forward? everyone wants to be a professional. It's unbelievable how many people say, man, I want to start doing this full time. You know what I always say to them? I wouldn't recommend it for my enemies. I mean, it's such...
You got to be built a certain way.
It's that tough. But take the first step and have VSiN. Here we are.
So let's go with the fact that the interior defense isn't that great for the Houston Rockets. Carmelo Anthony's going to actually get a lot of flack, and he's minus 15 through his 3 games. They've been atrocious in terms of defense.
That's an alarming number.
Yes, it is.
Is that worse than the league by a wide margin?
Yeah, they're dead last in the league in terms of points allowed in the paint per game. So that's going to be a big reason why, and that's why they're not as good defensively. So you look at no Chris Paul, really bad defensively. I feel like the Utah Jazz are really just a good Donovan Mitchell game away from turning things around. So as part of the hashtag NBA Pick'em Challenge, I used the Utah Jazz, catching 2.5 points.
Now back to Sin City and My Guys in the Desert with the legend Brent Musburger, live on the Vegas Stats and Information Network, SiriusXM Channel 204, and vsin.com.
Yeah, and I suppose at the Ocean Casino in New Jersey, they're doing a lively business, too. And the NBA, we've got games coming up at 4 and 4:30. Let's start with the 4 o'clocks. The Philadelphia 76ers. There's some money showing Atlantic City here. The 76ers host the Atlanta Hawks, who are really struggling.
They are, Brent. And the Sixers, no surprise here. Double digits, 11-point favorites on this one. The total up from 229, got as high as 231, 31.5, now sitting at 230.5.
Yeah, Atlanta, they got some young players, but they've been struggling for a minute. 76ers 3-0 at home, so a little bit different there, but they got some work to do as well. Also won the last 3 in the series pretty easily.
The Portland Trailblazers road trip continues. They move into Indianapolis tonight to play the Pacers, who have broken well, 4 wins and 2 losses.
Money showing for the Pacers, Brent, 3.5 up to 4.5. The total from 219 down to 216. Starting to see a bit of a correction with the totals here in the NBA.
Oh, coming down a little bit.
Yep,
they were high. There's a 240 on the board today.
Yes, we'll get to that one. But
it's crazy.
Yeah, it is. Now, the Sacramento Kings are way down in South Florida playing the favored Miami Heat.
And the Heat at home getting the betting attention. True home field advantage, too. You talk about the Vegas flu. I'm sure there's a little bit of Miami flu from time to time that we've often heard of. 8 up to 9, and the total on this one, 227.
Kings took both meetings last year. Total combined 5 points, but they still got it done. Taking 9 might be an okay play.
The Battle of New York. The Brooklyn Nets go into the Garden tonight to play the New York Knickerbockers.
Game bouncing back and forth. Brent, Knicks opened as 2-point favorites. Now sits at 1, so a little bit of buyback. Got back up to 1.5 before. So I'd like to see two-way here. A lot of pride at stake here in the Big Apple for this game, and the total on this one, 215.5 presently.
That's still crazy with the Knicks. Hardaway's been playing well, though, for the Knicks. 24 points in 5 of his first 6 games. That's nice. Little bright spot.
Now, that's a tough turnaround for the Nets. They were involved with the Golden State Warriors yesterday, and 234 points. That game soared over with the Warriors not covering. They won it by 6 points, 1 of 3 games. And then the game out west involved the Clippers. They were hosting the Washington Wizards. The Clippers put 136 points on the board, 240 total on that game. And the Clippers with an easy cover. They were favored by 4. Utah, starting to right the ship, went into Dallas and covered a 3.5-point number. 217 points, and that one just went over, Vinny.
Yes, it did, Brent. And again, as we said, these totals getting adjusted, but did just get over there from, we need to get over 214 and 217, as you indicated.
Okay, before we take the break, we've got one 4 o'clock hockey game I want to mention. Calgary goes into Toronto. I think I saw coming in this morning that Matthews is out for several games for the Maple Leafs, but the over-under is still 6. You might want to think about the under without Matthews, everybody. Cashing tickets is what it's all about. We're back live with a Flatter update, vsin.com, SiriusXM 204.
It's My Guys in the Desert with Brent Musburger, only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Keep up to date with everything in the world of sports gaming by going online at vsin.com.
As Uncle Brent always says, cash and tickets is what it's all about. And that's what every issue of Point Spread Weekly is all about, too. VEASAN wants to make you a better handicapper, not just today, not just tomorrow, not just this week, but for months and for years to come. And now is the time to subscribe. We have a special limited time offer. We're halfway through the football season. You can get Point Spread Weekly and full access to everything we do for just $99 through the Super Bowl. That includes our 24/7 live video stream, replays of our shows, our special guides, and online exclusives, full coverage of NFL Week 9 with a special focus on the big showdown, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers on Sunday night. You also get the top pro and college football games to watch, power ratings and best bets for VEASAN's experts, plus handicapping articles and info on college basketball. That's right, it's almost here. Plus the NBA, NHL, golf, CFL, and NASCAR. Go to VEASAN.com/subscribe for the package that makes the most sense for you, including our special offer, $99 through the Super Bowl. This includes Point Spread Weekly as well as full access to our live video and our replays. That is VEASAN.com/subscribe.
If you didn't catch VEASAN last week, here's some of what you missed.
Listen, I'm going to give you the lock of the year, and Brent, you might want to write this down. This is a compliment coming to your Roll Tide. Bet Alabama first half every week, and you'll make money. 8-0 first half, first the number. That's it. I'm done.
It's
By the way,
unbelievable.
It is.
You know, I got to tell you who started betting that early was Matt Humans.
They haven't played a team with a pulse.
This is the
They're the best team now.
Oh, there's no question.
Yeah.
You know,
But I heard a few people saying
from
ever.
the old-time guys like me, I shake my head, and they're running to the counter laying 27.5 in the first half like it's chocolate. It's just I just shake my head, but you know what? After we pay them off, they're looking at me like, you donkey, you don't know what the hell you're doing either. And they're right.
A straight bet for $100,000, a three-teamer for $180,000, and he lost a $20,000 four-teamer live to the Chargers. So we had 3 in going to that. So I guess he won $260 for the week.
So that's back-to-back weekends.
How would you like to make $260 in a 48-hour period bet? That would be nice.
Yeah, no kidding. I ran the numbers. The guy's up over $2 million in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, I give him credit because he has the onions to bet.
Guessing lines for Week 9 in the National Football League. Again, a tribute to the old Stardust Guessing Line show. Trying to isolate value. Not sure we found any yet.
Well, there's something to think about in each one of them, right? You can make a case to take or lay these games that you've talked about already.
Nothing's
and that's the exercise, right? You know, you're making numbers as a season better.
Yep.
Comparing them to what's posted.
That's what we're doing
for your early consideration.
Many more games to go.
If you're going to make that pitch and change, knowing what's going to happen, you know, if you bring in Woody, he's obviously going to offset with the right. We know what's going to happen, so you knew the matchup that you were going to get.